You said something awkward 3 days ago. Maybe it was a sentence that came out wrong. Maybe it was a joke that landed in silence. Maybe it was nothing, truly nothing, but your brain will not let it go. You have replayed it, edited it, imagined what they thought, imagined what they told someone else. And somewhere between the third and fourth replay, you knew it was irrational. You knew you were making it worse. You kept going anyway. This is not a flaw. This is a system so ancient, so deeply wired into the architecture of your mind, that modern neuroscience is only beginning to understand how completely it runs your life. The real reason you can't stop thinking about what people think of you has nothing to do with insecurity. It has nothing to do with self-esteem. It goes back much further than that. Further than language, further than fire, all the way back to a moment when your ancestors had one job, and that job was not to be left behind. Here's where it starts. Picture your ancestors, not thousands of years ago, but hundreds of thousands. They lived in groups of around 150 people. Not cities, not towns, groups, small, interdependent, brutally intimate bands of humans who shared food, shared shelter, shared every risk the world threw at them. In those groups, your social position was not a matter of pride. It was a matter of survival. Get kicked out of the group and you died. Not slowly, not metaphorically, literally. You could not hunt large prey alone. You could not survive a winter alone. You could not raise children alone. The group was life. Exile was death. So your brain evolved to monitor the group with terrifying precision. The anthropologist Robin Dunbar spent decades studying human social groups. His work revealed that the human neocortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex thought, grew in proportion to the size of the social groups humans lived in. Not in proportion to tool use, not in proportion to hunting complexity. Social groups. The brain got bigger in large part to keep track of people, to remember relationships, to model intentions, to predict, with as much accuracy as possible, what everyone around you thought of you right now. That is what your brain was built to do. And it is still doing it. Neuroscientists call it the default mode network. It is the web of brain regions that activates when you are not doing anything in particular, when you are daydreaming, resting, staring at the ceiling. And researchers at Harvard, including Matthew Lieberman, have found something striking about it. When you activate the default mode network, the same regions light up that you use to think about other people. Specifically to think about what other people think about you. Your brain's idle mode is a social simulation. Left to its own devices, your mind does not think about trees or abstract mathematics or your grocery list. It thinks about people. It rehearses conversations. It models reactions. It replays moments that may have damaged your standing in the group. This is not anxiety. This is calibration. Your ancient ancestors who ran these social simulations constantly, who obsessed over the subtle shifts in tone when a group member spoke to them, who stayed awake at night cataloging what they might have done wrong, those ancestors survived. They course-corrected before the group expelled them. They repaired damage before it became fatal. The ones who did not run this simulation, who shrugged it off, who genuinely did not care what the group thought, many of them did not make it. Their indifference was lethal. So natural selection did something precise and merciless. It made social rejection feel like physical pain. This is not a metaphor. Naomi Eisenberger at UCLA conducted a now famous experiment using a simple computer game called Cyberball. Participants were asked to play a virtual ball-tossing game with what they believed were two other players. Then, without warning, the other player stopped throwing the ball to the participant. They were excluded, left out of a simple, meaningless computer game. And the brain scans were startling. The same regions that light up during physical pain, specifically the dorsal anterior cingulate cortex, activated during social exclusion. The same regions, being left out of a ball game, a game with no stakes, involving people the participant had never met, produced brain activity indistinguishable from physical hurt. Your brain cannot easily tell the difference between being punched and being ignored at a party. Both register as damage. Both demand a response. This is why the awkward sentence 3 days ago will not leave you alone. Your brain has flagged it as a potential threat. Not a tiger, not a falling tree, a threat to your position in the group. And because group position once meant survival, the same alert system that would have saved your ancestor from a predator is now running on a comment you made in a meeting. The scale is wrong. The stakes are not what they used to be. But the machinery is identical. The psychologist Mark Leary developed what he calls sociometer theory. The idea is elegant and unsettling. Your self-esteem, Leary argues, is not actually about how you feel about yourself. It is a real-time gauge, a meter, that tracks your standing with the people around you. When you feel good about yourself, it is, because your brain has read social cues suggesting you are valued, included, wanted. When you feel worthless, that meter has detected signals of rejection or disapproval. Self-esteem, in this framework, is not a character trait. It is a social monitoring instrument. It rises and falls not based on your actual worth as a human being, but based on how the people around you appear to see you. This explains something that most people find deeply confusing. You can be objectively successful and still feel like a fraud the moment one person in the room seems unimpressed. You can receive 100 compliments and ruminate for hours on the one ambiguous remark. The meter is not measuring your accomplishments, it is measuring perceived inclusion. And it is exquisitely sensitive to any signal of rejection, even a faint one, even an imaginary one. Because your brain is not just monitoring, it is predicting. And prediction means it sometimes invents threats that do not exist. This is the part that most people do not know. Your brain does not wait for social rejection to occur. It anticipates it. It runs forward simulations, models of what might happen, and then treats those models as real data. This is why you rehearse arguments that never happen. This is why you lie awake, imagining how someone might respond to an email you have not yet sent. Your brain is preloading possible social threats so you can avoid them. Most of the time, those threats never materialize, but the simulation ran anyway. The emotional response was real anyway. The evolutionary logic is sound. A brain that waited until rejection actually happened before responding would be too slow. By the time the group showed you the door, it was too late to repair the relationship. So your brain learned to fire early, to treat even the faintest possibility of disapproval as information worth taking seriously. The cost of that system is that you spend hours of your modern life processing social threats that exist only in projection. There is one more layer, and this one changes how you see other people. Your brain does not just simulate what others think of you in isolation. It simulates it through a specific cognitive bias that psychologists call the spotlight effect. Thomas Gilovich at Cornell University has studied it extensively. The finding is this: you consistently overestimate how much other people notice and remember what you do. You think your mistake in the meeting was glaring to everyone in the room. You think your outfit was the thing everyone clocked when you walked in. You think the tremor in your voice was obvious. You think the awkward sentence replaying in your head is replaying in theirs. It is not, because everyone in that room is running the same simulation you are. They are thinking about what you thought of them. They are replaying their own sentences. They are monitoring their own position. The spotlight you feel trained on you exists almost entirely in your own mind, because everyone else is standing in their own spotlight, too busy managing their own social monitoring system to train sustained attention on yours. This is the strange collective comedy at the heart of human social life. You are terrified of what they think, they are terrified of what you think, and most of the time, both of you are thinking about yourselves. Your ancestors needed this machinery. They lived in groups where reputation truly was life and death, where a single serious misstep could mean exclusion, where careful social monitoring meant the difference between a cold winter survived and one that was not. The system they handed down to you is not broken. It is brilliant. It is just running in a world it was not designed for. The office is not the savannah. The comment section is not the campfire. The person who gave you a strange look in the elevator is not the tribal elder deciding your fate. But your brain does not fully know that yet. It is still watching, still simulating, still protecting you from a social death that rarely comes. So the next time the sentence plays again, the thing you said, the look you caught, the silence that followed, you can understand it for exactly what it is. Not weakness, not pathology. A 200,000-year-old system doing exactly what it was built to do. Still scanning the group. Still keeping you safe. Still convinced, somewhere in its ancient wiring, that the people around you are the most important thing in the world. And here is what is strange about that. In the only way that has ever truly mattered, it was right. You said something awkward, and your brain would not let it go. Now you know exactly why. And the knowing, just maybe, makes it a little easier to let it.